What up, YouTube? Welcome back. Season 3, episode 16. This is the recap episode where we will get into the breakdown of the season. Again, we had another technical difficulty where unfortunately I lost the first about a minute or so of the recording of this episode, which even during the recording we had technical difficulties, but we'll just hop into it and take it from there. Enjoy the episode. Thank you for watching the season. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we'll see you soon. Peace. All right, sorry about that. More technical difficulties we had to work through. So excuse me. Let's see, had to clean up the rankings. We are actually the number 8th ranked team, not number 3. So let's run through the Peach Bowl review for this. So for this recap series, for this recap episode, what we're gonna do is run through the Peach Bowl review, give out the game ball for that. We'll look at the playoff, the college playoff. We'll sort of redo the arrangement of this episode, being that we participated in the playoffs. So after we do the recap of the Peach Bowl, I'll do a recap of the playoff bracket and show you who won and what that was. Then we'll go through the conference standings, the conference championship game reviews. Then I'll do an overall review of the other bowl games. We'll look at All-American / All-Conference reviews. We'll look at season awards, and then we'll look at the season stats and close it out with a review of the season schedule. So that's what we got on the slate for this episode. So for now, let's hop into the Peach Bowl. Let me see. So we played the Peach Bowl against Clemson. That's kind of a dead giveaway what happened with Clemson, but anyhow, in that game, it was a hell of a game. We lost by 5 points, 48-23. As you can see, 28-13 at the halftime. So for it to be 28-13 at halftime, for us to lose by only 5 points tells you, we sort of dominated that second half. We just barely we're not able to get past these guys. And as you can see, they end up losing in the playoffs. We were both undefeated in this game, and both quarterbacks had a huge game. So yeah, we agree with the computer. We can't go against this. Chris Dixon, game ball. The game ball, we gotta give it to him. 27 for 41 passing, 376 yards. His best passing performance came in his very last game. 2 touchdowns in the air. He did not get sacked at all in this game, which is a miracle for him. He's like a sack magnet. He added 44 yards on the ground. Octaviano and Griffin both scored touchdowns. On the receiving side, Liston went 5 receptions for 66 yards. Bradley dropped a lot of passes. 3. Yeah, he dropped a lot. Bailey had a career game, 4 receptions, 143 yards and a touchdown. Mason also caught a touchdown, but again, the game ball for the Peach Bowl is going to go to Chris Dixon. You got to give hats off to our team, man. 13-1, hell of a season. I mean, a hell of a season. So right here, we bring up the the college football playoffs. I'm edited in at this point of the broadcast and show how it played out. As you can see here, Alabama ends up winning the championship, but I'll walk you through each round game by game. And that first game, that was your Rice Owls against the Clemson Tigers, and Clemson came away with the win, 48-43. We made them fight every second for that win. In that second game there, the eventual champion Alabama Crimson Tide ended up beating the Pac-12 champion Oregon State Beavers. I'm sorry. They beat them 35-25, so it was an upset right there. On the other side of the bracket, more upsets as the SEC champion Texas A&M Aggies beat the Big 12 champion Oklahoma State Cowboys by 4 points, 28-24. In the bottom game there, another upset as Ohio State got their revenge over Michigan, 49-35, to move on to the second round. In the second round, Clemson ends up falling to the eventual champions Alabama Crimson Tide, 28-20. On the other side, Ohio State knocks off Texas A&M 23-14 to move into the championship, and the championship was a doozy. Alabama wins the championship by 1 point. They won by 1 point. Let me repeat. Alabama Crimson Tide wins the national championship by 1 point over Ohio State. That was a hell of a game right there, if you ask me. Let me while I still have this on the board, I'm gonna pull up the championship game. It's this thing. Nope, this doesn't want to give me the right thing. It doesn't want to show the right thing. So we won't be able to show it. I was able to see it though when it happened. As I simulated through the actual game, I was able to see it. But you know, this game didn't save it properly, the stats. But it came down to a play on the very last game, or one of the very last plays of the game with a minute and like maybe 30 some odd seconds left. Alabama scored a touchdown to go up by a point and beat the Buckeyes for the national title. So that was the championship. All right, so at this point we can run through the conference standings. You already know what we did, but let me show you everybody else. In the ACC, as you know, Clemson won that. They won the ACC Atlantic. They won the ACC outright overall. Miami was 12-2. They were runner-ups. In the American, Memphis won that. I think they won the title too, if I'm not mistaken. So they were the top team in the American East was USF. And the American West was Memphis. And the Big 12, Oklahoma State, as you saw, they were in the championship. Over in the Big 10, as you saw, Michigan was in the championship, or Ohio State was in the championship. They went to the national championship. I'm sorry, they were in the playoffs, not the championship. Ohio State went to the national title game and lost. Nebraska, looks like Nebraska won the West there. Oh no, they didn't. I think Iowa did, based on that number 10. As you can see there, your Rice Owls on top of the Conference USA. We got 4 stars now. It's now a 4-star program. I believe when Don Newman took over, it was just a 2-star program. We're up to 4 stars now. Who won the East? In the East, they have FAU on top, but really it was Western Kentucky. As you can see, they played the 9 games there. That's who we beat. And the Independents, Army 9-4, Notre Dame 6-6. In the MAC, Miami of Ohio won that, or at least they won the East. We'll see when we look at the championship week. On the other side, Northern Illinois looks like they went to the championship. In the Mountain West Conference, Mountain West on the mountain side, Boise State 9-1, 11-3 overall. On the other side, San Diego State 8-2 in the conference, 9-5 overall. Those are some of the other teams. Pac-12 North, Oregon State, they won the whole thing as you saw them in the playoffs. Stanford was behind them. On the Pac-12 South side, UCLA won that. They had a 10-4 season. In the SEC, Texas A&M up top, your eventual national champion, Alabama's a Crimson Tide, second, 14-1. So in the East, Georgia won that. And on the West, Texas A&M won the West, and they won the SEC title because you saw them in the playoffs, but they were not able to win the playoffs. Coastal Carolina wins the Sun Belt with an 8-1 record, 10-3 overall. Troy was 11-2. They have some pretty good teams in the Sun Belt this past season. So that is your conference standings. Now let's get to the conference championship week. You already know what your Rice House did in the Conference USA game. We beat Western Kentucky for the title there. In the MAC, Miami, Ohio beat Northern Illinois to go 45-31. Again, as I stated earlier, Texas A&M beat Georgia in the SEC championship by a touchdown. The American Football Championship came down to overtime. USF over Memphis by a field goal to win that. Mountain West, Boise State over San Diego State by 4 points to win the Mountain West. Clemson, whoa, look at that. Clemson just barely beat Miami. Miami did not make the playoffs. I chose Ohio State over Miami for the playoffs, and it ended up being a good choice because, as you saw, Ohio State made it to the championship game. They just weren't able to pull it out. But Clemson over Miami by 1 point in the ACC championship. Over on the Pac-10, Oregon State blew out UCLA. I'm sorry, Pac-10. I said Pac-10. I meant Pac-12. And then in the Big Ten, Michigan won the Big Ten and turned around and lost in the first round of the playoffs. As I showed earlier, Iowa won the other side. Iowa had an abysmal year, even though they got to the conference championship. So let's look at the bowl season review. I set up all these bowl games, by the way, in the background, as well as the bracket, the playoffs bracket. But anyhow, let's see. Temple over Western Michigan in the New Mexico Bowl, 52-24. USC over Syracuse in the Idaho Potato Bowl. We won that bowl last year. You see, you got Iowa over Bowling Green in the Arizona Bowl. Michigan State dumped on our arch rivals Houston. Oh, what the hell? I did not mean to do that. Sorry, y'all. Malfunction on my end. God, dog. I didn't mean to do that. Pressed the wrong button. Okay, like I was saying, Michigan State beat our arch rival Houston in the Gasparilla Bowl. Arizona State over Kansas State in the Las Vegas Bowl by 4 points to go 8-5 on the season. Ooh, Georgia Tech got blown out by LSU in the New Orleans Bowl. Oh, that's probably why LSU was in the New Orleans Bowl. They got set up for that. Florida State won their bowl. They beat Fresno State. They blew them out by 30, 44-14 in the Hawaii Bowl to go 7-6. Purdue over Vanderbilt in the Quick Lane Bowl by 10 to go 8-5 on the season. North Carolina over North Texas, Battle of the Norths, 26-14. They took care of them to go 9-4 on the season. North Texas falls to 8-5. California blew out Wisconsin in the Military Bowl, 56-14. Wisconsin, not good. In the Holiday Bowl, Auburn over Boston College to go 8-5 on the season. Boston College falls to 7-6. Colorado took care of Virginia Tech in the Cheez-It Bowl, 38-14. They beat them handily to go 8-5. Tech falls to 7-6. UCLA took care of Miami, Ohio in the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl, 42-17. So both teams end up 10-4 on the season. Northern Illinois takes care of San Diego State in the Independence Bowl by 9 to get their 10th win on the season. They were in the playoffs last year in Northern Illinois. Utah over Toledo in the Texas Bowl, Texas Bowl. So Toledo falls to 9-4. They're unable to get their 10th win. They went up against a doozy. Georgia Southern over Florida Atlantic in the Armed Forces Bowl by a field goal to go 9-4 on the season. Florida Atlantic falls to 8-5. Army blew out Texas State 42-21 in the LA Bowl to finish their season 9-4. Texas State drops to 8-5. Ooh, the Linden Tree Bowl came down to 1 point. Boise State over Coastal Carolina. Boise State goes 11-3 on the season. Coastal Carolina drops to 10-3. In the Alamo Bowl, UAB blows out Penn State. Whoa. So UAB finishes 9-4. Penn State drops to 8-5. Remember, we beat UAB. In the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas over Washington, 31-16. Kansas finished 9-4. Washington falls to 8-5. Kansas finished in the top 25. South Carolina over SMU in the Tony the Tiger Bowl by 10, 41-21. SMU falls to 9-4. South Carolina finishes 9-4. Both teams at 9-4. Nebraska falls to Stanford in the Music City Bowl. Stanford 30, Nebraska 14. Stanford ends their season at 10-3. Nebraska falls to 9-4. Oklahoma smashed Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl 40-28. So Oklahoma finishes 9-4, Arkansas 8-5. First Responder Bowl, Troy dominated USF 42-10 to finish 11-2. USF drops to 10-4. Miami beat Georgia in the Citrus Bowl 35-28. Miami finishes 12-2, Georgia 10-4. Texas beats Air Force. I can't really tell what bowl that is. It might be called the Tangerine Bowl, but I can't tell. But yeah, Texas 37, Air Force 27. Texas ends their season. They got their 10th win, 10-3. Air Force ends 9-4. Oh, then you know this one. This is a playoff game. Florida beats Memphis in the Gator Bowl. Oh, well, you know who's gonna win that. 26-14. Florida ends their season 11-4, so they just missed the playoffs. Memphis drops to 11-3. That's another playoff game right there. Another playoff game right there. I think we are all these playoff games from here. Yep, those are the rest of those are playoff games. So that's the bowl season right there. Those are all the bowl games. All right, now next up I want to show all Americans, but before we do that, let me go back here real quick to conference standings just to show, you know, the 4 stars. We were overall 83. Our offense is 86, defense is 80. But look at this. We scored 558 points. That's the most in our conference. Let me see if that's the most anywhere. Oh, they don't have where you show all the teams, but that's the most across a lot of conferences. I'll put it like that. 558 points. Points against 243. So we got one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses. Also, although the defense contributed to some of those points. So it's really a lot of that was defense as well. But just to put in perspective what our team was able to do this season, them Rice Owls ain't no joke. All right, so let's look at all Americans. First team all American. We got a defensive end who made the list. That's one player. Oh, look at that. All 3 linebackers made the list. I'll say all 3 linebackers are good. Now, but you know, like I said before, our defense are going to dominate on awards. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Burt makes 5. Kicker 6. So we got 6 first team All-Americans. All defensive players plus the kicker. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Second team All-American. 2 more defenders. 3 more defenders when you add Allen. So 3 players on the second team, all defense. Freshman All-American team. I already know, you already know Bush is going to be on there. He was also a first team All-American. So first team All-American plus freshman All-American automatic. Bush had a hell of a redshirt freshman season. He came in as a 68 true freshman, so it paid off. All right, Conference USA first team. Now you know we're going to have players all up and down this thing. Dixon made first team. Take a peek at his stats. Whoa, we'll get there. Looked like he threw for 3,000 yards. Look at this. Did our entire line, so Dixon plus our entire O-line, so that's 5, that's 6 first team. Looks like our entire D-line almost, so 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We got 16 players on the first team all conference. I can see it. We dominated the conference, so 16 first team all conference players make sense. What? Octaviano is old because of those touchdowns. Octaviano made second team all conference, but Kalen Griffin didn't. So that's what? 1. Bailey made all second team all conference. Bradley, that's 3. 4, 5. 6, 7. 8. So then 8 players on second team all conference. 16 first team all conference, 8 second team. So we did pretty good in those respective areas. Next up, we'll take a look at season awards, the award winners. We have a couple of award winners. Ukulele, we played him in the Peach Bowl. He was pretty good, a really good quarterback. He was worth it. He won the Maxwell. Dixon, number 5 on the list. Dixon did throw for 3,000 yards. Wow, Dixon threw for 3,000 yards, y'all. We'll get to that. Walter Camp Award went to Kendall Milton, the running back from Georgia, who ran for just over 1,800 yards. 18 touchdowns on the ground with 5 more receiving touchdowns. The Bednarik Award goes to our very own Cabrian Page, our middle linebacker. We had other linebackers on the list as well, but Cabrian will take it. 81 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 7 assists, 2 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and an interception. Yeah, he was a really good middle linebacker. Nagurski Award, Bush barely missed that. It's gonna go to Devin Townley from Penn State, the redshirt sophomore. 40 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, and a forced fumble. You see there what Bush did, 57, 19, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown, but he did not win the award. The O'Brien goes to Ukulele. So that's his second award right there that he picked up. Doak Walker goes to E.J. Smith from Stanford, their redshirt junior running back. He had just over 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns, 410 yards receiving, and 2 more touchdowns in the air. The Bolitnikoff Top Receiver Award goes to Matthew Saxton II, freshman wide receiver at Michigan. Damn, freshman wide receiver at 92 receptions, 1,320 yards, 17 touchdowns. He balled. 8 carries for 56 more yards. The Mackey Award goes to Drew Martin, tight end from Memphis, the redshirt senior, 5th-year senior, 95 receptions, 1,309 yards for a tight end, 9 touchdowns. It said 113 carries. Wait, 113 carries and 604 more yards. What kind of offense are they running? That's what he did. Outland goes to Warren McClendon, 5th-year senior at Georgia. He only had 40 pancakes and 3 sacks allowed. The Remington Trophy goes to Trotter. We had 2 guys on the list at 6 and 8, but Trotter, the Memphis center, Mason Trotter, the senior, 21 pancakes, 6 sacks allowed. Lombardi goes to Devin Townley. That's his second trophy, second time I've seen him on the list. So we won't run through his awards. His stats. The Buckus Award, Cabrian Page picks up his second award. So our middle linebacker is getting it done. He led that defense. He led the defense pretty good. He was a pretty good replacement for that other middle linebacker we had the year prior. The Thorpe Award goes to Caleb Edwards from Georgia Tech, the redshirt sophomore. Had 5 interceptions. Bird was on the list at number 3, our 5th-year senior free safety, but he did not win. The Groza, Justin Harris wins it for a second year in a row, our sophomore kicker. He did his thing. The Punter Award, the Guy Award goes to Jeremy Crawshaw from Florida, the redshirt junior. He netted 34. He downed 21 inside the 20. He had a good season. And then the Jet Award for the top return man goes to TJ McDaniel from SMU, the 5th-year senior. Had 1,000 kick return yards and a touchdown, 306 punt return yards. So those are the main awards. The award of the mob, the Heisman Whoa, look at that. Dixon finished 3rd on the Heisman list, y'all. That's pretty good. He didn't win it, though. It goes to Kendall Milton, the halfback from Georgia. Who had 1,800 yards on the season. Yeah, he did it. Kendall Milton did the damn thing. But it's nice to see Rice on the list, huh? Dixon number 3. And you got to give it to him, though. Remember, like I said, if we had a team banquet, our offensive player award would have gone to Dixon. All right, so let's take a look at our stats, player stats on the season. Like we said, Dixon with 3,000 passing yards, 259 for 347, 3,000 yards for his senior season. He threw way more interceptions, but let me see. Yeah, he threw way more attempts too than he did the year prior. Way more passing attempts. You know, we turned it up a notch toward the end there. And we're gonna keep it up for this next quarterback who we've been grooming for the past 2 years. So we're gonna keep the playbook where we at. But yeah, so this is Griffin. Like I said, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, 74% completion. 59 was his longest pass. He was sacked 44 times. That's too much, man. That's way too much. But he was able to get through the season fairly healthy. He didn't miss any games. He did get hurt throughout the games. But Wiley Green was able to, the 5th-year senior was able to step in and step up where needed. 2 touchdowns for him. Only 56% completion, so his completion percentage dropped. He only got sacked once. And then this guy right here, James Rogers. Looking forward to seeing him next year. He went 5 for 6 for 65 yards. We didn't see any of that because this came in simulation time in a game that we had to simulate the end of just to get out of. We had so many technical difficulties throughout this season. Man, I can't even tell you how many technical difficulties we had. You could see some of them in some of the games. On the rushing side, here we go. Griffin, 1,000 yards. He hit it. 243 carries. Let's see. That's way more than he had in the prior 2 seasons with us. If he comes back, he's going to get over 3,000 career yards, but that's a big if. His overall is at 90, so he's a good candidate to go to the NFL. Dixon with 856 yards on the ground to go with his 3,000 yards passing. He was a cold quarterback, man. You can't, man. Dixon came in and completely changed the complexion of our team. You know what I'm saying? Like he gave our offense a whole new dynamic that we didn't have before the year, you know, that first year where we had McCaffrey, and we wouldn't have had the dynamic that we had with Dixon under Wiley Green either. Wiley Green was probably the better quarterback, not the better passer. If you look at the, you know, if you look at their attributes, because Griffin had the better throwing power and throwing accuracy. He just wasn't the better aware quarterback. But in terms of just dynamic playmaking ability, Dixon all day, man. That speed and that arm. Juma Octaviano, 15 touchdowns. Yep, that's why he ended up second team all conference. 659 yards for his senior season. Jerry Johnson III, feel like he's been here forever. The whole 3 years he's been here. The redshirt junior, he's coming back next year. Bailey with his 64-yard long earlier this season. That was a hell of a run. We kept that play in the playbook much longer than we should have just because of this touchdown run. Then the redshirt sophomore Jeff Holmes, looking forward to seeing him. More of him. He's gonna be a beast. He had 9 carries for 51 yards this year and a touchdown. He'll be a junior next year. Our Broussard graduates this year. So he had his farewell tour, picked up a touchdown. Juma just took over for him, so that kind of just killed the end of his career. Wiley Green was never a runner. Liston couldn't really get that not going. Suckley graduates, 5th year senior. Petrie graduates. On the receiving end, Bradley led receivers with 57 receptions. Our tight end. The 2 seniors, Bailey and Petrie, stepped up. Liston had a decent year. He had flashes for his true sophomore year. He should be better, hopefully, next year. Bailey ended with 804 yards total and 7 touchdowns. He had a decent senior season. He had a couple games there where it was like, damn, Bailey was the man in a couple of them games. Bradley had way more drops than we would have liked. 6 total in the season. Bailey didn't have any drops. Bradley, 6 drops. Preachy had a decent senior season. Let's see, better than his other 2 years. Let's see for Bailey. Bailey doubled up for his senior season. Liston, he did better than his freshman year. Doubled up on receptions. Didn't get as many touchdowns, but still had a decent year. Pierre Jones, the converted halfback. Remember, he initially came in as an athlete. We put him at halfback and then moved him over to wide receiver. He had a real good year. Andrew Mason, the junior that we inherited, he had a decent season. 3 touchdowns. Those 3 touchdowns came in handy too. Every single one of them. Kalen Griffin, our junior running back, 163 receiving yards. Octaviano, 149. Our fullback, 74. Our future quarterback had 3 receptions for 27 yards this season. Hardy, the sophomore tight end, had 3 for 15. And Dixon, I don't know when that came. I don't remember that at all. Dixon catching a ball for 5 yards. That must have came in simulation time. And then Suckley. So those are receiving yards. Blocking wise, really not much to see here. Hardy did some good blocking. The tight end, the sophomore tight end that we picked up last year. Pepe did some good blocking, or at least he didn't give up a sack. Let's put it that way. Isaiah Floyd gave up 16 sacks. Most of that wasn't his fault though. On the defensive side, Bird just barely led the team in tackles by 1 over Cabrera and Page. He didn't get any awards other than All-American, All-Conference status. Cabrera and Page with the 88 tackles. Adrian Bickham, redshirt junior, we inherited him, but he's been developing nicely. He had a really good junior season. Senior Danny Allen had a good year. This kid right here, this is my favorite player on the defense. The redshirt freshman Ryan Bush. He was just a beast, man. Oh, what a beast. Gabe Taylor had a good junior year. He'll hopefully be back for his senior campaign. The senior Trayshawn Devones, he'll be graduating. He's kind of slow, so I'm not that sad to see him go. The converted defensive end, converted from linebacker to defensive end, Josh Percy had a decent season. Fresh and White, we won't go through all of those. On the sacks, our 5th year senior led the team in sacks. 5th year senior defensive end, then the senior defensive tackle behind him, then the redshirt freshman behind him. Damn, look at that. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. 2 threes, 2 3 2s and a 1. But yeah, we put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. We only got away with 4 interceptions this season. Cabran Page, Danny Allen, Jimmy Sanders, the redshirt freshman. Remember I told you, he's lengthy and super fast. He's gonna be really good. He's only a freshman. So him and Bush are future leaders on our defense. Jimmy Sanders and Ryan Bush. He almost took that back to the house too, that interception. 5 deflections for DeVones, the senior. 4 for Bird, the 5th-year senior. 2 for Allen. 2 for Bush, 1 for Taylor, 1 for Page. So most of our seniors. Cabran Page forced 3 fumbles. Fresh, the junior, forced 2. Ryan Bush forced 2. Bickham forced 2. DeVones and Nick Boo, Bird and Percy. Then the guys on the recovery, Jason White, 5th-year senior, he's gonna graduate. We had a lot of recovered fumbles. This defense was lights out. The defense was solid, man. You gotta give it to our defense. No one player got a safety, but as a team we got a safety. So that's not recorded here, but I think that was in the championship game, the conference championship game, that is. And there's the 3 defensive touchdowns, 1 from Bush in the bowl game. Allen, remember he had that fumble recovery that was like it was really like an interception fumble that he took back to the house. And then Fresh, I don't remember his, but he got one as well. Let's see, our kicking stats. Justin Harris, a sophomore kicker, 34 for 34. He was perfect for field goals. 48 was his long. 62 for 62, perfect for extra points. So he didn't miss anything. He wasn't missing nothing. Oh, then he had 108 kickoffs, 52 of them were touchbacks, so he did his thing. Our punter, the redshirt junior, is Charlie Mendez. 41 punts, 41.3 average, 29.7 is his net. He had 6 inside the 20, 12 touchbacks. His longest was 54 yards, so he had a pretty solid season. Kick returns, Andrew Mason, 737 yards. That's pretty good. Octaviano with another 143 on top of it. Then just guys who are recovering on onside kicks. Punt returns, Bailey added 600 yards in punt return duty. So yeah, man, that was the season. That was a really good season for a 13-1 Conference USA Championship squad. You know, we'll wrap it off by recapping the season that was. We won 15 consecutive games in a row, dating back to last year. Started this year with a 44-30 win at Buffalo. Then came back to beat Houston by 1 point to take that trophy early in the season, take that rivalry trophy. Houston finished 6-7 on the season, but we'll still claim that victory. That was still a sweet victory for us. Then we went to South Alabama, beat them by a touchdown, 31-24. Came back home to beat the number 25 Army team, 47-7, beat them by 40, smashed them. Went on the road to smash Florida Atlantic after that, 34-14. Then came back home and just barely got by FIU by a touchdown. But we were showing early that we were a tough team to beat, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is one of them games where the defense had to really step up to make sure we won that. Then we started just winning, like just really slapping teams, bullying teams, if you will, back to back. So we beat down UTEP 69-17, and to outdo ourselves, the very next week we go to UTSA and beat them down 72-3. So back-to-back weeks, just, you know, that's what, over 141. It was like 141 points to 20 in 2 games, 141 to 20. Next game of the season, this was supposed to be the toughest conference season, but this was supposed to be the toughest conference foe, or the toughest conference opponent this year. They ended up being not much competition at all. That's North Texas, that we beat 27-7 at home. Then we went on the road to put the smackdown on southern Mississippi, 33-6. Then we had a bye week before we faced UAB, another ranked team. We beat them 34-7. So that's what, so far as 2 ranked teams on our schedule that we smashed down. Then after UAB, we finished the season at Louisiana Tech, 44-23. Smashed them like we were supposed to. Ended up in the conference championship game where we took care of Western Kentucky 29-14. Then in the bowl game, the Peach Bowl, that's not the right team, nor is that the right score, but that's okay. We faced Clemson there where we lost by 5 points. We put 43 on them, so you know, hey, what a season, guys. What a season we had. I'm proud of this team. We'll see what the offseason brings. We'll see if your man Don Newman stays or if he goes. TBD, to be determined. Until the next episode, y'all. Peace out.